Welcome back to the English Academy podcast. I'm Adam, and I am joined, as always, by the wonderful Anna. How you doing today, Anna?
I'm doing great, Adam. I'm especially excited because today we are diving into a topic that I know is going to change the game for our listeners.
I agree. Today, we are talking all about shadowing. If you've ever felt like your English sounds a bit robotic or you struggle to keep up with native speakers, this episode is exactly what you need.
That's right. We're going to break down what shadowing is, why it works for your brain, and how you can start doing it today to sound more natural and confident.
But before we get into the details, we have a small favor to ask. If you find our lessons helpful, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
And don't forget to give this video a like. It really helps our channel grow. We also love hearing from you, so leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever tried shadowing before? Or what is the hardest part of English pronunciation for you?
Lastly, if you have a friend who is also on their English learning journey, please share this video with them. Learning is always better when you do it together.
Exactly. All right, Adam, are we ready to jump into the world of shadowing?
Let's do it. Let's get started with our first segment.
You know, Adam, so many students ask me, how can I sound more like a native speaker? They study grammar for years, but their speaking still feels disconnected.
I hear that all the time too, Anna. It's like there's a wall between knowing the word and actually saying it smoothly. I keep hearing about this language learning technique called shadowing as the solution. What exactly is it?
It's actually very simple, Adam, though it requires some focus. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a native English speaker and repeat what they are saying almost immediately, exactly like an echo following a sound.
Like an echo. That sounds a bit different from the usual listen and repeat exercises I did in school. So I just copy their words as they speak without waiting for them to finish the sentence?
Exactly. That is the key difference. In a traditional classroom, the teacher says a sentence, stops, and then you repeat it from memory. With shadowing, you don't wait for the end of the sentence. You speak with them. You are only a split second behind the recording.
Wow, that sounds intense. So if the speaker says, "The weather is beautiful today," I'm already saying the weather while they are saying beautiful today.
Spot on. You are chasing the speaker's voice. And the goal isn't just to say the words, it's about copying their pronunciation, their rhythm, their pauses, and even the emotion in their voice in real time.
That sounds like a great way to train the muscles in my mouth to speak English naturally. I imagine it's a bit like physical therapy for your tongue and lips, right?
That's a perfect way to put it. Speaking a new language is a physical skill, not just a mental one. Your mouth muscles need to learn new patterns. When you shadow, you're forcing your brain to bypass the translation phase and go straight to production.
I can see how that would help with the flow of English. I notice that native speakers don't say every word separately. They link them together, like saying gonna instead of going to, or how words slide into each other.
Precisely. That's called connected speech. If you wait for the speaker to finish before you repeat, you often lose that natural connection. But when you shadow, you are forced to mimic that flow, because if you don't, you'll fall behind the audio.
It's almost like singing along to a song on the radio. You don't wait for the singer to finish the chorus. You sing right along with them to match the beat.
Exactly. And just like singing, shadowing helps you notice the music of English, the intonation. You hear where the voice goes up for a question or down for a statement. You start to feel the stress on certain syllables.
I'm curious, though, do I need to understand every single word I'm shadowing? Sometimes native speakers use vocabulary that I haven't learned yet.
Ideally, you should have a general idea of the topic, but the beauty of shadowing is that it focuses on the sound first. Even if you don't know a specific idiom, by mimicking the way a native speaker says it, you are internalizing the correct way to use it later.
This sounds like it would really help with confidence, too. If I practice becoming the speaker, I'll probably feel less nervous when I have to speak to someone in real life.
You hit the nail on the head, Adam. It builds fluency confidence. Your brain starts to recognize that it is capable of producing fast, natural English. It takes away that fear of stumbling over your own tongue.
I'm convinced. It's not just about memorizing words, it's about mimicking the entire experience of speaking. I'm ready to stop being a student and start being an echo.
That's the spirit. It's a workout for your ears and your mouth at the same time. Once you get the hang of it, you'll start hearing English differently than you ever did before.
All right, Anna, I'm sold on the concept. I want to start my shadowing workout today, but I'm looking at my playlist and I'm a bit overwhelmed. If I want to start shadowing right now, what should I actually listen to? Can I just jump into the deep end and use fast-paced action movies? I love those.
I love a good action movie too, Adam, but for a beginner, that might be like trying to run a marathon before you've learned to walk. Movies can be very tricky at first because of the background noise, explosions, dramatic music, and cars crashing, not to mention the fast slang and overlapping dialogue.
That's a good point. I suppose if there's a lot of shouting and whispering, it's hard to hear the actual vowels and consonants clearly. It would be frustrating to keep hitting the rewind button every 5 seconds because a helicopter drowned out the actor.
Exactly. When you are shadowing, you need clean audio. It's much better to start with clear, steady audio sources. Think about things like audiobooks, where the narrator is a professional voice actor, or TED Talks, where the speaker is focusing on being understood by a large audience. Even podcast conversations, like the one we're having right now, are perfect for this.
That makes a lot of sense. A professional narrator usually has a very consistent pace. I imagine news broadcasts might be good too, since they speak so clearly.
News broadcasts are excellent, though sometimes the vocabulary can be a bit formal. The goal is to find someone whose voice you actually enjoy listening to, because you're going to be hearing them a lot. You want a voice that feels natural and attainable for your own speaking style.
That leads me to my next big question. What about accents? The English-speaking world is huge. Should I pick an American accent, a British accent, or maybe something from Australia or Canada? Does it really matter which one I choose?
It matters more than you might think at the start. My advice is to pick the specific accent you want to learn and stick with it for a while. Consistency is the absolute key here. If you mix too many different accents at the beginning of your shadowing journey, your own pronunciation might get a bit confused.
I can see how that would happen. If I shadow a Londoner in the morning and a Texan in the afternoon, my R sounds are going to be all over the place. One minute I'm dropping the R and the next I'm rolling it heavily.
Precisely. It's about building a specific set of mouth habits. Once you have a strong foundation in one accent, it becomes much easier to understand and even mimic others later on. But in the beginning, you want to give your brain a clear target.
So if I'm planning to move to New York for work, I should probably stick to North American audio. But if I'm moving to London, I should find some BBC podcasts or British narrators.
Spot on. Think about your goals. Where will you be using your English? Who will you be talking to? If most of your business partners are from Australia, shadowing an Australian speaker will help your ears adjust to their specific rhythm and melody much faster.
What about the difficulty level? Should I pick something that is easy for me to understand or something that challenges my vocabulary?
Great question. For shadowing, you actually want the content to be slightly easier than your current reading level. If you are struggling to understand the meaning of the words, you won't be able to focus on the physical act of mimicking the sound.
So, easy to understand, but fast enough to be a challenge is the sweet spot.
You got it. You want to focus 90% of your energy on the delivery, the speed, the pauses, and the tone. If you're constantly stopping to look up a word in the dictionary, you lose the flow that makes shadowing so effective.
This is really helpful, Anna. It sounds like I need to be a bit of a curator for my own learning. I'll go look for some high-quality, clear audio with a consistent accent that matches my goals.
That's the perfect first step. Once you find a speaker you click with, shadowing becomes less like a chore and more like a fun impersonation game.
This is all great advice on picking the right content, Anna. I've actually already found a great audiobook with a narrator who has a very clear North American accent. It's exactly what I want to sound like. So, let's say I have my clear audio file ready and my headphones on. What is the actual action plan? Do I just hit the play button and start talking immediately?
I love your enthusiasm, Adam, but if you just jump right in without a plan, you might find yourself stumbling over your words and feeling defeated within the first 30 seconds. To get the best results, it's not quite that sudden. The best way to master this is a professional 3-step method. Think of it like a warm-up before a big game. First, you just listen to the audio without speaking at all.
Just listen? That sounds almost too easy. Why is that the first step? Shouldn't I be practicing my speaking right away?
It's crucial because your ears need to map out the territory first. Before your mouth can mimic the sounds, your brain needs to hear the full picture. During this first listen, you want to make sure you understand the general meaning and the overall context of what is being said. You're listening for the vibe. Is the speaker excited? Are they explaining something serious? Where are they taking a breath?
Got it. So step 1 is listen for understanding. I'm basically getting familiar with the speaker's personality and the topic so I don't get caught off guard by a sudden change in tone. Once I feel comfortable with the message, then what?
Now we move to step 2. This is where we bring in the visual element. In the second step, you listen to the audio again, but this time you read the transcript or the subtitles while you listen.
Ah, I see. This is where I connect the sounds I'm hearing to the actual spelling of the words. Sometimes when people speak fast, what'ya sounds like whatcha. Seeing the text must help clarify those blurry sounds.
Exactly. It bridges the gap between your reading skills and your listening skills. During this step, you can even take a pen and mark the transcript. Draw a little arrow where the speaker's voice goes up, or put a slash mark where they take a pause. You are essentially creating a musical score of the speech. You aren't shadowing out loud yet. You are just deeply analyzing how the words are being delivered.
That sounds like a very smart way to prepare. It takes the guessing out of the process. So I've listened for the meaning, I've analyzed the text and the sounds together. Now I'm guessing it's finally time for the main event.
You've got it. Finally, we reach step 3. Put the text away, hit play, listen, and shadow the speaker out loud. This is the pure shadowing phase. Since you already know the meaning and you've seen the words, your brain is free to focus 100% on the physical movement of your mouth and the melody of the voice.
So I build up to the actual shadowing instead of jumping right in. I really like that approach. It feels much more manageable. It's like learning a dance. You watch the steps first, then you practice with a partner, and finally, you perform it on your own.
That is a perfect analogy, Adam. By the time you get to step 3, your muscle memory is already starting to kick in. You aren't struggling to remember what the word environment means. You are just focusing on how the speaker emphasizes the second syllable. Environment.
And since I'm not looking at the text in the final step, I'm forced to rely entirely on my ears. I suppose that prevents me from reading the English in my own native accent and forces me to actually hear the English accent of the speaker.
Precisely. Reading can sometimes be a trap because our brains want to pronounce words the way they look on the page. But English is famous for not being spelled the way it sounds. By taking the text away in the final step, you break that habit and trust your ears.
This 3-step method sounds like it turns a difficult task into a very logical process. I feel much more confident starting now that I know I don't have to be perfect on the first try.
And that's the most important thing to remember. It's a progression. Each step builds a layer of fluency until the speech becomes second nature to you.
So, Anna, I have to be honest with you. I felt really motivated after our last chat, so I actually tried shadowing a news report yesterday. I found a clip from a major network, put on my headphones, and hit play. But within 10 seconds, I was completely overwhelmed. The speaker was way too fast. I got completely lost, my tongue felt tied in knots, and honestly, I just got frustrated and turned it off.
Oh, Adam, please don't be discouraged. That is completely 100% normal. Almost every single student feels that way the first time they try a real-world audio clip. You have to remember that when you first start shadowing, your brain is doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting. It's listening, processing, and trying to move your mouth muscles all at the same time. It's like trying to juggle 4 balls when you've never even held one.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one. It felt like a total disaster. I kept missing the ends of sentences, and by the time I caught up, the news anchor was already 3 topics ahead of me. It made me feel like my English wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Don't let that voice in your head win, Adam. The problem isn't your English. The problem is the speed of the delivery. When you hit that speed wall, you should immediately lower the audio speed to 0.75x or even 0.5x if the platform allows it.
Wait, really? So it's actually okay to slow it down? I'll be honest, I thought about doing that, but then I stopped myself. I thought that was cheating. I figured if I couldn't keep up with the real speed, then I wasn't really learning how to speak in the real world.
Not at all. Think of it like weightlifting at the gym.
You don't walk in on your first day and try to lift 100 kilograms, right? You start with the lighter weights to get your form perfect. If you try to lift too much too soon, you'll just hurt yourself or do the exercise incorrectly. Shadowing is exactly the same. It is much better to shadow slowly with perfect pronunciation, clear vowels, and correct intonation than to try to speak at normal speed and stumble over every third word.
That's a great relief. So by slowing it down, I'm actually giving my muscles the time to learn the correct pathway for the sounds.
Exactly. When you slow it down to 0.75x, you can actually hear the micro sounds, the way a T disappears at the end of a word, or how two words blend together. Once your mouth gets comfortable at that slower speed, you'll find that your brain naturally starts to speed up. After a few days of practicing that same clip at 0.75x, you'll be shocked at how much easier it feels when you finally flip it back to 1.0x.
I guess I was being too hard on myself. I wanted to be an expert on day one. But what should I do if I still get frustrated? Even at a slower speed, sometimes there's a specific word or phrase that just feels impossible to say quickly.
When that happens, I want you to give yourself permission to pause and repeat. If a specific phrase like particularly important is tripping you up, stop the audio, say that one phrase 5 times slowly, then 5 times a little faster. Once you've mastered that small chunk, go back and try shadowing the whole sentence again.
I like that. Breaking it down into smaller battles instead of trying to win the whole war at once. It makes the frustration feel much more manageable.
Precisely. And remember, the goal of shadowing isn't perfection, it's progress. Some days your tongue will feel heavy, and some days you'll feel like a native speaker. The key is to keep going even on the heavy days. If you're feeling too frustrated, just do 2 minutes and stop. 2 minutes of focused, slow shadowing is worth more than 20 minutes of stressed, messy practice.
That's a great perspective, Anna. I'm going to go back to that news clip today, but this time I'm sliding that speed bar down to 0.75x and taking a deep breath.
That's the spirit, Adam. Be kind to yourself. You're training your brain in a whole new way, and that takes time and patience. You'll be surprised at how quickly that speed wall starts to crumble.
We've covered so much, Anna. I understand what shadowing is, how to pick the right audio, the 3-step method, and how to keep my cool when the speaker is talking faster than I can think. But I have a practical question. I'm a busy person, and I'm sure our listeners are too. How long do I actually need to do this shadowing practice before I start to see real noticeable results in my fluency? Do I need to dedicate an hour a day?
That is the question everyone wants to know. The answer is actually very encouraging, Adam. It doesn't happen overnight. Language learning is a journey, not a sprint, but you absolutely do not need hours a day. In fact, if you try to do an hour a day, you'll likely burn out in a week. The secret is consistency over intensity. You should aim for just 10 to 15 minutes of focused shadowing every single day.
Just 15 minutes? Really? That sounds almost too good to be true. I can definitely fit 15 minutes into my schedule. I could do it while I'm making coffee in the morning or perhaps during my commute on the train.
Exactly, and that's the perfect way to do it. Think of it less like studying and more like training. Just as athletes train their muscles every day for a short period, you are training your facial muscles and your brain. Short daily practice builds muscle memory much faster than long, infrequent sessions. If you do 15 minutes a day, over just a few months, your spoken English will completely transform.
I can see how that works. It's like piano practice. If I play for 15 minutes every day, I improve much faster than if I play for 2 hours once a week. My hands remember the movements better when I do it daily.
That is a spot-on analogy. And the great thing about shadowing is that you can make it part of your routine. You can listen to a podcast and shadow while you are washing the dishes, or when you are walking to the grocery store. You don't always need to be sitting at a desk with a notebook.
I love that idea. It makes the habit feel effortless. However, I'm worried about skipping days. If I miss a day because I'm too tired or I'm traveling, does that mean I have to start all over again?
Absolutely not. Life happens and you will definitely miss days. The rule is simply don't miss 2 days in a row. If you miss one day, no big deal. Just pick it up the next day. If you miss 2 days, it starts to become a new habit of not practicing. Consistency is about showing up most of the time, not 100% of the time.
That's a very reasonable rule. Never miss twice. I can definitely do that. But I'm also thinking about tracking my progress.
If I'm doing this for 3 months, how will I know it's working?
That is a great question. I highly recommend recording yourself. On day 1, record yourself shadowing a 1-minute clip. Then do not listen to it. Keep practicing for a month. At the end of the month, take that same clip, record yourself again, and compare the 2 recordings. You will be absolutely amazed at the difference in your rhythm, your pronunciation, and your confidence.
That sounds like a powerful way to stay motivated. Actually hearing the improvement is much better than just hoping that I'm getting better.
It really is. The goal is to make English part of your daily life, not just a subject you study. By shadowing for just 15 minutes a day, you are literally changing the way your brain processes the language. It becomes less about translating in your head and more about reacting naturally to the sounds.
This has been incredibly motivating, Anna. I feel like I finally have a roadmap to becoming a truly fluent speaker. I'm going to start my 15-minute timer tonight.
You're gonna do great, Adam. Remember, it's all about consistency. 15 minutes today, 15 minutes tomorrow, and before you know it, you'll be speaking English with a natural flow you never thought possible.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the English Academy podcast. We hope you feel more confident about using the shadowing technique to boost your fluency.
I really hope our listeners give this a try this week. Remember, it only takes 15 minutes a day to start seeing real changes in your pronunciation and flow.
Absolutely. Now, before you go, we want to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's the best way to make sure you get notified every time we release a new lesson.
And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It really helps our small team reach more English learners around the world.
We want to hear from you too. In the comments below, tell us which speaker you are going to shadow first. Is it a news anchor, a celebrity, or perhaps a favorite YouTuber?
We love reading your stories, so definitely let us know how your shadowing practice is going. And if you know someone else who is struggling with their speaking confidence, please share this video with them.
Thanks for tuning in to the English Academy podcast. I'm Adam.
And I'm Anna. Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next episode.